Running Up the Score. You're listening to the Running Up the Score podcast. Now here's your host, Jerry Napoleonello.
Running Up the Score with Jerry Napoleonello. Here we are. We are in week 15. This is where boys become men, folks. We're going to get right into our power rankings. There's been a lot that has gone on this week already. Now, this week isn't even Eagles, Cowboys, yet we have a narrative going on this week. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into some injuries that has happened. The comparison between turf and grass, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the comparison of Joe Burrow to Tom Brady, which is a little crazy, but let's get right into it. We're going to get right into our power rankings like we've done so far the last couple of shows. Eagles still at my number one spot. They are at Chicago this week. Then they play at Dallas on Christmas Eve. They play New Orleans and the Giants both at home to end the season. The Kansas City Chiefs stay at my number 2. Houston home, Seattle home, Denver home, and then they're at Las Vegas. Looking good to go 14-3 for the Chiefs. Buffalo Bills, number 3. They have home against Miami, at Chicago, at Cincinnati, home against New England. Buffalo has a tougher schedule than Kansas City. I expect Kansas City to take that number 1 seed in the AFC. Dallas Cowboys stay at my number 4, although you would have thought that the whole team has been wiped out by the way watching every sports channel known to man. You would have thought that the Cowboys were left with one player and they were going to play the rest of their games with one player. It's just absolutely absurd what has happened, and I'll get into that in a little bit. The Cowboys are at Jacksonville, home against Philly, at Tennessee, and at Washington. To end the season, they are 10-3 as we speak. San Francisco moves up to my 5th spot. They are 9-4. They are at Seattle this week, actually today, Thursday night. They are home against Washington, at Las Vegas, and home against Arizona. Cincinnati is number 6, 9-4, at Tampa Bay, at New England, home against Buffalo, and home against Baltimore. Tough schedule for Cincinnati to end the season. Minnesota Vikings, 10-3, Indianapolis home, Giants home, at Green Bay, and at Chicago to end the season. Baltimore, number 8, 9-4, at Cleveland, home against Atlanta, home against Pittsburgh, and at Cincinnati. Tennessee, 7-5. I don't even really like them in my 9 spot, but it's really whatever. The last 2 spots in the top 10 are really toss-ups because that's just how, like, the parity in the NFL this year. Tennessee, 7-5. They are at the Chargers, home against Houston, home against Dallas, and then at Jacksonville to end the season. The number 10 spot, the Detroit Lions, Dan Campbell's Detroit Lions. They have fought, they have clawed, they have bitten kneecaps off. They are 6-7, heading into, actually, I want to make, yeah, they are 6-7. Heading into at the Jets, at Carolina, home against Chicago, and at Green Bay to end the season. Let's go. So we're going to stick with the whole ranking, and, you know, we've done this a couple of times. I want to get into the QB rankings. So I'm just going to fly through the first, the bottom half. We have number 32 making his first start this week for the Atlanta Falcons, Desmond Ridder. Obviously, there's no stats, so we'll see what we're going to get from him. So, rightfully so, he's number 32. Sam Darnold stepping in for Carolina. He's got 2 games under his belt, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Already has a fumble, but a rushing touchdown as well. He is 31. Davis Mills, number 30. Now, I'll get into really Davis Mills when we start talking about the Cowboys. Tyler Huntley goes to 29 for the Ravens. Russell Wilson in that, I mean, it's crazy. 28. He's in a crazy spot with other quarterbacks. I mean, the fact that we're talking about Russell Wilson ranking number 28 and only above Tyler Huntley, Davis Mills, Sam Darnold, and Desmond Ridder, who's never even played a game yet. Also, he had a concussion, so who knows if he's even going to play this week. Baker Mayfield, number 27 for the Rams. Matt Ryan, 26. Mitchell Trubisky, 25. Mac Jones, 24. Colt McCoy, number 23. Taylor Heineke, number 22. Deshaun Watson, number 21. Honestly, the way that he's been playing, I would knock him down a couple of spots. I mean, they have him above. He's jumped 3 spots, which is crazy. Andy Dalton, number 20. Daniel Jones, 19. Mike White, 18. Derek Carr, 17. Brock Purdy, 16. He has jumped 15 spots. Brock Purdy, 5 games, 461 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 5 rushing yards, 1 rushing touchdown. That should tell you all about what you're going to get in San Francisco at the QB position for the rest of the season. Ryan Tannehill, number 15, garbage. Jared Goff playing his mind off. He is number 14, 22 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 3,352 yards from my boy Jared Goff. 13 games under his belt. Number 13, Trevor Lawrence. I love him at this spot. 20 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. We are really seeing the potential, and I'm excited for Trevor Lawrence. Number 12, Kirk Cousins, also having a good season. 20 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Aaron Rodgers, number 11. And now we got the top 10. Let's talk about the top 10. Here we go. Justin Fields. I mean, it's really it's not because of his passing. 12 games this season, 1,800, actually more like 1,900 yards. He's got 7.5 yards per attempt, 13 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. I think this is where they have him. And this is why they have him in the top 10. 905 rush yards, 8 rushing touchdowns, and he's got 13 fumbles, which is scary. But the fact that Justin Fields is, I mean, what he's doing at the quarterback position for an absolutely garbage team is stunning, really. And I'm excited to see if this guy gets any kind of weapons, whatever you want to call it. Their defense is pretty garbage right now. The team overall is garbage, but Justin Fields playing his ass off, and 905 rushing yards. That's insane. Number 9, Tom Brady, 3,500 yards, 17 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He just doesn't. The thing is, yeah, I mean, you look at his numbers: 13 games, 17 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 3,600 yards. That's Tom Brady. You're expecting that. And the issue is he just doesn't look good doing it. And that's the upsetting thing, I guess, for, Tom Brady fans and, just overall football fans that aren't, AFC East fans or whatever. Number 8, Geno Smith. Geno Smith, another guy just having an absolutely mental season. 25 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 13 games. He's got 1 rushing touchdown. I mean, he's taking a mediocre Seattle Seahawks team to a possible playoff berth. So that's really all you have to say about Geno Smith. It's incredible. Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott's only played 8 games this year. He's number 7. Only played 8 games this year, obviously dealing with the broken thumb. 14 passing touchdowns, 9 interceptions. This is the issue that we're having. 9 interceptions. And he only threw his first interception in the second half of a game last week against the Texans. So, I mean, can we look at that and say, all right, maybe the first half he's trying to see what he can get away with? And I think that's what we could really hang our hat on. Dak, in the beginning of the games, whether it be Dak himself or just the play calling from Kellen Moore, putting him in positions where he's going to throw the interception or, gives him a little bit more of a reckless type of feel for the game. Like, hey, I'm gonna give you a play call. This is what we're looking for. If it's there, throw it. If it's somewhat there, you could still throw it. And I think that's what we're getting with Dak. And the issue is that the Cowboys, maybe because, we could probably say it's because of the interceptions earlier in games, is they're putting themselves in positions where, they've had to come back in second halves. I think he's really got to figure out how to, be a little bit less careless with the ball, with throwing the ball. He's got 1,800 yards, 14 touchdowns, 94 rush yards, 2 fumbles. I think he's like second least sacked quarterback. So look, Dak Prescott, if he figures out the whole interception thing, Dak Prescott's going to have a good career, period. But just overall, Tua is number 6, 22 touchdowns, 5 interceptions in 11 games. The last 3 games, though, we can honestly say Tua has not looked good at all. Yet they're still, they're still around. So they, I believe they're 8-5. So number 5, Justin Herbert. There's been a lot of talk about Justin Herbert. And I talked about it last week about him being the social media quarterback and what have you. He has the tools to be an absolute unbelievable quarterback. And I don't want to say, if he gets, if he gets weapons around him, because he's got the weapons. He has the weapons. And, he really, him and Josh Allen, other than, the guys that we can look at, like Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, I think these guys are the most, they are fun quarterbacks to watch. Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, they're really, really fun quarterbacks to watch. Justin Herbert has to win in the playoffs. And if they miss the playoffs this year, that is going to be a huge uproar towards Justin Herbert. But 13 games, 3,700 yards, 21 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Number 4, Josh Allen, as I said, another absolute. He's one of. I'm going to say he is the quarterback that I enjoy watching more than anybody else. Just everything that he does. He's a tough guy. He's willing to put his body on the line, even though he's the most valuable player for that team. It's just, it's going to be fun to watch Saturday, because we're going to have the snow in Buffalo, playing a division rival that they already lost to this year. It's going to be interesting to watch this week. Josh Allen going up against Tua in the snow, and a lot of stuff has been brought up about this weather, so it's going to be interesting. Joe Burrow, number 3, 13 games, 3,700 yards, 27 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. For as bad as the Bengals had looked in the beginning of the season, the fact that they are, there's power rankings that have them in the top 3. So that's how good Cincinnati has been playing lately. And how good Joe Burrow has been playing. He's now being compared to Tom Brady. So he's number 3. Jalen Hurts, number 2. 13 games, 3,100 yards, 22 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 686 rushing yards, 10 touchdowns, but 9 fumbles. And then number 1, Patrick Mahomes. We obviously knew that was going to happen. 13 games, 4,100 yards, 33 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Now, all right, here we go. This is really what I mean, I wanted to base this whole podcast on this whole argument, and it has a lot to do with the MVP race. Now, we had Micah Parsons on Voncast. That's Von Miller's podcast. And they were talking about just the MVP race. And basically, I understand where he's coming from. Because, really, I mean, how many times have we actually sat back and had, this conversation of why is the MVP always a quarterback? Because are they really the most valuable player? And in reality, I mean, let's be serious. You can absolutely put a quarterback at the MVP for every year. You really can, just because of how important they are in terms of offense and points scored. So honestly, I feel like they should make it like an MVP for quarterbacks and then an MVP for the rest of the positions, really. Because there are plenty of players in the league that are more valuable than some of these quarterbacks. There's players that are more valuable to their team than the quarterback position. I mean, you can honestly make an argument for a lot of, like, Aaron Donald. I mean, we can absolutely say, hey, Aaron Donald is the most valuable player in the NFL. I mean, the difference that he makes on the field is unbelievable. Micah Parsons. I mean, really, and don't get me wrong, that's probably one of the reasons why he made this argument, because he could feel as though he is the most valuable player. Because, I mean, the Cowboys lose Micah Parsons. They're going to struggle on defense. And don't get me wrong, listen, DeMarcus Lawrence, Trayvon Diggs, guys like that, they add to that defense and what makes that defense so good. But having a guy like Micah Parsons on that side makes everybody else better. But, I mean, let's be totally honest. Patrick Mahomes is the most valuable player this year. And this whole talk of Jalen Hurts being the most valuable player is absurd. And if you haven't heard what Micah Parsons said, I'm going to play it now. And, I mean, if you haven't heard it, you must be living under a rock, because it's literally spoken about every other 10 minutes. You even go on TikTok, and it's like everybody's arguing about it, especially all these Eagles fans. All these Eagles fans are all so up in arms about what he said, and it's crazy. Listen to the clip, and then you make your decision on what you feel about it. And I'm going to say what I'm going to say. I want you guys to comment on Instagram or whatever you're like seeing this clip or hearing this clip or whatever, or even just listening to the podcast.
Is it Hurts or the team? I think it's a little bit of both, man. I think
it's system and team.
I think it's a little bit of both, man, because they got a great offensive line, which helps Hurts. Hurts has A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. They got a good running game.
I mean, Miles Sanders.
They scheme that they have.
O-line. I mean, bro,
Hey, this Eagles Cowboys, the Eagle Cowboy coming up, ain't it?
Yeah, it's coming up. I'm not trying to make no enemies. I just love the game so much, and I understand it so much that like I can't. I like when things are off. I just can't like hold it in. Like I almost gotta say something. Like
Yeah, you're right. They got a great team, great defense.
but everyone has their own opinions. Like,
But they got Jalen Hurts is
He's good. He's good.
They got him for the MVP race with Patrick Mahomes. His stats and what he's been doing with numbers that he be putting up is MVP worthy. Just like with Patrick Mahomes.
Now, what he said, it wasn't that bad. And I honestly feel like the Eagles are trying to find, or the Eagles and the Eagles fans are trying to find like bulletin board material. Like, oh my God, I can't believe he said that. We're going to use this for the game. Like, stop. Really? Because he didn't say anything bad. He basically said, listen, Jalen Hurts is not the reason that you have the best record in the league. I'm sorry. It's not. You have to look at the team. Look at A.J. Brown. Look what he's been doing. Look at Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders has like 12 touchdowns, 11 touchdowns this year, and last year he had like 1. What he's doing is not all that fantastic. He has weapons around him. Davante Smith, A.J. Brown. I mean, even Quez Watkins is playing, out of his mind for the Eagles. And then you have a guy like Miles Sanders. I mean, come on. He's not a top running back, but, I mean, the guy's having a great year. Now, Jalen Hurts' legs make that a lot easier. Makes his job a lot easier. But everybody else, I mean, we can't discredit what everybody else is doing on the field for the Eagles. Okay, now when we're talking about MVP, look at the team that the Kansas City Chiefs are putting on the field. Okay? Patrick Mahomes, 4,100 yards, 33 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. The Kansas City Chiefs are 10-3. His running back was Clyde Edwards-Helaire before he got hurt. He's nothing crazy. Jerick McKinnon, I think he's very good, but nothing crazy. Wide receivers, Juju Smith-Schuster, he's middle of the pack. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Sky Moore, I mean, look at what he's been doing with what he has. Other than Travis Kelce, but now it just makes it so much easier to double Travis Kelce. But then turn around and compare what Patrick Mahomes has to what Jalen Hurts has. And then compare schedules, because, I mean, everybody just lets that slide. Everybody just lets that slide. All right, yeah, Eagles are 12-1. Let's not talk about who they're playing. Let's absolutely not talk about who they're playing. Jalen Hurts, MVP. 12-1, Eagles. Going to get a first-round bye in the NFC. 22 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Yep. 3,100 yards. Patrick Mahomes has 1,000 more yards, 11 more touchdowns, same amount of games, with so much less, and a much tougher schedule. So let's stop. Let's stop trying to make this whole Micah Parsons thing like it's the worst thing that someone's ever said. And, oh, my God, like, oh, bulletin board material. Stop. If you need something to, like, hype you up for the Dallas Cowboys-Eagles game, I mean, Eagles, are you even ready for it? I mean, like, let's be totally honest. You guys are making it so much bigger than it actually was. So much more crazy than it actually was. The fact that we're talking about this nonstop is absurd. It's absolutely absurd. And I laugh because it's like, this is really what we're talking about? Come on. So it just, to me, it's just hilarious. Now Dallas, now like this is where like the hypocrisy comes in. We have to talk about the Cowboys against the Texans. All right. So first of all, Texans, they're playing their it's like they're playing their older brother, okay? You know, when everybody talks about Texas, it's always talked about as the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys have been around longer. You know, it's just, that's how it is. The older brother. The younger brother is always going to try to beat out the older brother. Always happens that way. You want to beat out the more popular. The older. That's just, I mean, they're 1-11. You know, they're absolutely playing for nothing. And yes, it was a 17-point spread, the biggest spread in the NFL this season, and by far, it was the biggest spread by at least 3 points this season. So right there should have told you. But let's not discredit the Houston Texans. It's still an NFL team. And what they did, you know, we have to talk about, because the Cowboys had no idea that they were going to be using, Jeff Driscoll. They had no idea. And what Houston did, changing up the quarterback every other play, it made it difficult to play defense in terms of just, you know, that whole game plan just kind of like floated out the window. Now, am I upset because, you know, Micah Parsons is talking about this kind of stuff, and the last two games hasn't been, I mean, I don't want to say he hasn't been relevant, but there's no sacks the last 2 weeks. So I laugh because, you know, they play the game against Indianapolis. You know, again, another NFL team. You know, and the Cowboys go into the fourth quarter only up 2, and then they end up having a 33-point fourth quarter. It just, as a Cowboys fan, I know how the Cowboys are. They always play down to their competition. It always happens. And that's why, you know, I look at these games and I'm like, Houston, that's a trap game. I mean, their previous loss, I forget who they ended up playing. It turns into these trap games, you know, especially because the Cowboys have been starting slow lately. And that's an issue because you can't go into the playoffs and start games slow, and then expect to, you know, just make a comeback at the end of the game. It just doesn't work that way. But the hypocrisy of this whole Eagles, Cowboys, even 49ers, all right? Let's talk about games that the Eagles struggled in. Okay? Week 1 against the Lions. Now, Lions are in my top 10 now, but at the time, They beat them by 3. 38-35. Okay? Cowboys beat the Lions 24-6. Okay? Eagles beat the Vikings 24-7. Cowboys beat the Vikings 40. Where the hell is it? I want to make sure it's right. 40-3. Okay? The Eagles beat the Texans 29-17. Gave them a little struggle, though. Eagles lost to the Commanders. Eagles beat the Colts 17-16. Cowboys beat the Colts 54-17. It makes me laugh. It really makes me laugh that we're going to sit back. I mean, they just beat the Cardinals by 3. Cardinals are terrible. They beat the Jaguars by 8. That's it. I mean, it's just, it makes me laugh, the hypocrisy. We go to the 49ers, all right? 49ers, hey, they lost to the Bears. The 49ers, hey, they lost to the Broncos 11-10. Okay? 11-10 to the Broncos, who can't even beat anybody. The 49ers lost to the Falcons. The Falcons by 14. The 49ers got trounced by the Chiefs. The 49ers only beat the Saints by 13. I mean, we can say this about anybody. The fact that, we don't talk about any of these games, but we talk about the one game that the Cowboys struggled, yet they still got the win, because wins are wins. I mean, there's no column in the record that says struggled or, just won. No, it's a win. You win, you go in the win column. You lose, you go in the lose column. And if you're the Giants and the Commanders, you go into a tie. But that's it. So yeah, I'm going to look back at this Texans game. And I'm going to say, all right, that game made the Cowboys better. And I honestly feel like the game against the Texans is going to make the Dallas Cowboys better. Because you're looking at that, the Cowboys are looking at that like, hey, we almost lost to a 1-win team. And I think it's gonna kind of light a little fire under every single one of the Dallas Cowboys' asses to play better in games earlier and throughout. It's just crazy to me that we can sit back and say, because of the one game, Cowboys, they're done. They're done already. It's absurd. It's absurd to me that we can do that. Speaking of the 49ers, they got a big win against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Kind of smacked up the Bucs. Brock Purdy did his thing. And that's where we're like, can Brock Purdy be the guy to, I don't want to say carry, because we all know that Brock Purdy, or the quarterback position in San Francisco, and I said this last week, the quarterback position in San Francisco is, I don't want to say meaningless, but it doesn't matter who it is. The defense is going to play as well as they, could, and they're the best defense in the league. And their offense, you have Deebo Samuel, who's hurt now, that's probably going to miss, a couple of weeks. But you have Christian McCaffrey, you have George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk. This team is solid all around. And that quarterback position is where, they've been mediocre. But to be totally honest with you, that's the difference in making a Super Bowl team. And that's why I was so high on the 49ers before the season with Trey Lance, because I just felt like Trey Lance was going to make this team different than Jimmy Garoppolo. And Jimmy Garoppolo sucks. I mean, is it really, like, do we really care that he's out, in San Francisco? I mean, I think Brock Purdy's been playing better than Jimmy Garoppolo, and Brock Purdy's only been in 2 games. But, the real question is, like, is he going to be able to carry this team through a deep run? And in terms of the hobby, Brock Purdy, 2022, he really doesn't have that many autos. But he has a Panini certified auto. It was to 149, and it sold today, the 15th, for $500. We also have that's to 149. That was $500. We have the mirror bronze go for 150 to 275. I saw another auto. Yeah, to 75. A certified blue auto to 75 go for 720. We have the Immaculate Collegiate Brock Purdy auto rookie patch. Ruby go for 350. We have Panini Select Draft Silver Prism Explosions go for 185. The Red Mirror Certified Signature go for 400. Look at this one. Brock Purdy 2022 Panini Certified Red Auto to 25. Go today for $1,300. National Treasures Collegiate Rookie Patch to 99. Go for $650. He is like outperforming in price like all the top quarterbacks. It's absurd. It's crazy. And that all comes down to hype, obviously. They look at the rest of the team and it's like, all right, this team could make noise, really. And that's the guy that obviously that's what you want. Because I was looking at Trevor Lawrence certified autos. Let's see where. So we got a rookie patch auto. Panini certified Trevor Lawrence to 99, go for 225. And that went on the 7th. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, who's like the highest priced quarterback right now, and Brock Purdy, his basically the same card, is going for way more. So that's, and then we have Desmond Ridder, who's making his first start. So I want to talk about his recent sales. It's not as high as I would have expected. But we haven't really seen him play, so that's, another thing. But usually just the hype of finally, this is where, it's good for the hobby, because now, I mean, somewhat good, because you're going to have the 2022 boxes, be more in demand, because, obviously we haven't really seen much of, anything crazy other than the wide receiver class. But we have Desmond Ridder, 2022 Panini Absolute, which just came out recently. Rookie auto to 20, go for 227 today. You also have a 2022 Panini Origins Desmond Ridder rookie patch auto, go for 109. Elements 10 out of 10, go for 70. We have a Desmond Ridder Spectrum to 35. Panini Absolute go for 175. So he's kind of middle of the pack, but listen, I mean, if you're going to get a card, of Desmond Ridder, when we really haven't really seen him play, but you're just kind of taking a flyer that this kid is going to be good. And honestly, I do think he's going to be good. He has the skill set. He's one of those mobile quarterbacks as well, so that makes him a little bit, more of a threat. You like that dual threat, especially, if you're investing in these guys, because, look, a perfect example is Justin Fields. All right, Justin Fields, he doesn't really have much around him, and they struggle on offense. They struggle in the passing game. I think he's only got 1,800 yards or whatever it is, but he's rushing for 905 yards, and then look at his prices. It's through the roof. And you have him in the top 10 in QB rankings heading into this week. So that's what I'm saying. Like with Desmond Ridder, he's that dual threat quarterback that, if he's not able to do it with his arm, he could drive up his prices just by rushing for touchdowns and winning games. That's really what it comes down to. So there's that. Also, there was an interesting thing that happened in the Patriots game. Davante Parker caught a ball over the middle of the field, ended up kind of landing on his head, and obviously was very discombobulated. And I guess they were more. I think it was a hurry up offense. So he kind of lined up, and you could tell he was just way out of it. And Nelson Aguilar was in the slot, and he had to try to stop play. He was yelling at the refs to stop play because of, Davante Parker just being in La La Land. And then Davante Parker came out and just kind of lost it on the NFL and, these doctors. Because, really, let's be totally honest. And I've been doing that a lot today. Been totally honest. And I hope that's what you want to hear, because obviously, why lie? But to be totally honest, all right, these doctors have one job, okay? And I'll tell you right now, it's pretty easy to see. Even if they're watching it on a screen, because I'm watching it on a screen thousands of miles away, and you can tell if a guy landed on his head and is discombobulated, hey, maybe we should get this guy checked out. They're doing the same exact thing. How are you not noticing this? It goes back to the whole Tua thing. How are you not seeing this? Pull him out of the game. You have one specific job. Don't watch the game. Don't get into the game. Watch these players. Make sure that they're okay. Because Davante Parker was not okay. Absolutely not okay. And goodbye, Nelson Aguilar for stopping play. That's, it's messed up to see. Now, this is I wanted to talk about this last week, all right, because there was a lot. Obviously, it had to do with the whole Burrow and Mahomes game, but the fact that we were making comparisons with Mahomes and Burrow and comparing them to Peyton Manning and the Tom Brady rivalry, I think is stupid. Now, Mahomes, yes, should be in that comparison, but Burrow shouldn't. It should be Josh Allen. If we're going to be, comparing two of the best quarterbacks that we've seen in recent memory to what we have presently, you have to say, especially skill set, and we're expecting it. The Bills and the Chiefs. If we're going to say Brady Manning, it should be Mahomes, Josh Allen. Now, don't get me wrong. Joe Burrow is having a great season. Joe Burrow has beaten Mahomes 3 times. That is not making me say, all right, yeah, this reminds me of Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. Like, when I watch playoff game, like the playoff game between between the Bills and the Chiefs last year, I'm thinking, yeah, that's Tom Brady, that's Peyton Manning, that's the comparison. When I watch Burrow and Mahomes, I'm not thinking Tom Brady and, Peyton Manning. That kind of more so reminds me of, like, maybe Joe Burrow being Ben Roethlisberger, a guy that has, that has the success with the team and gets to a Super Bowl. That's what that reminds me of. Like, Joe Burrow, to me, is Ben Roethlisberger. Not in skill set. I mean, which we could say, like, Joe Burrow is a tough dude. Because what he had to deal with last year with the offensive line that he had, and, just how tough the guy is when he's mobile. I mean, yeah, we can say skill set, I guess. But I just, like, it was like Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, and then it was like Ben Roethlisberger underneath, that sometimes it would end up coming in to that rivalry there, and so that's what I see. But yeah, it's just, it was driving me crazy when everybody just kept bringing it up, like, oh yeah, Burrow, Mahomes. We're just like discrediting, and I don't want to say discrediting, but we're just like totally forgetting about Josh Allen. Like, Josh Allen's, nobody. What we have in young quarterbacks right now in the NFL, I mean, you can't sit there and say you're not excited. I mean, let's be serious. Tua, Dak Prescott, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Trevor Lawrence. And that's the other thing. Listen, this week, Trevor Lawrence against the Dallas Cowboys, that scares me as a Cowboys fan. That scares me. But I'll get that, soon. But yeah, like, I mean, how could you not be excited? Just looking at the quarterback class that we have right now in the NFL. It's unbelievable. Unfortunately, we lost a quarterback this past week. Kyler Murray out for the season, torn ACL. And that kind of brought up the whole grass versus turf thing, because Kyler Murray tore his knee on grass. So that, I don't want to say, not a lot of people actually brought it up. I just thought about it. When we're looking at the NFL across the board, there are 16 out of the 30 NFL fields across the country that have real grass. The other 14 have turf. So the teams with grass, Arizona, which Kyler Murray tore his ACL on, Baltimore, Chicago, Cleveland, Denver, Green Bay, Jacksonville, Kansas City, Las Vegas, Miami, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, San Francisco, Tampa Bay, Tennessee, Washington. The stadiums with turf, Atlanta, Buffalo, Carolina, Cincinnati, Dallas, Detroit, Houston, Indianapolis, SoFi Stadium for the Chargers and the Rams, Minnesota, New England, New Orleans, MetLife with the Giants and the Jets. And they're talking about in MetLife they're going to be changing it to grass next year. And then also you have Seattle that that has turf as well. So they've had talks about this whole comparison between turf and grass, and the VP of Communications, the NFL Executive VP of Public Affairs and Safety, Jeff Miller, talked about this whole slit film. Like that's the kind of turf that is like the worst, I guess. They said that surfaces have 2 to 3 more injuries per year. Most of them are ankle sprains, a low burden injury, whereas slit film also sees a lower rate of fewer high burden ACLs compared to the other synthetic fields. The league and NFLPA's joint experts did not recommend any changes to surfaces at the meeting, but agreed more studies are needed. So, it says the conclusion, finally, conclusion from a company hired by the league and the union, and it's not 2 to 3 injuries per year, it's 2 to 3 injuries per stadium per year. The problem with slit film turf comes from the construction of the various fake blades of grass. Instead of a single blade of fake grass, slit film has openings in the pieces, creating a potential risk of cleats catching in the material. And then I saw a video of someone talking about how a lot of it has to do with the heel, basically the heel landing first. And that is one of the reasons why we're seeing these injuries. But Von Miller out for the season. So yeah, that they were talking about this whole grass and turf thing. I don't know what's going to end up happening going forward. But, 2 more, podcast clips that, that kind of interest me this past week. Ryan Shazier was on the Green Light podcast with Chris Long, and he discussed, the tackle that ended his career, basically. And
the thing that's so crazy about that moment is when I made that tackle, you know how the NFL is trying to make rules where guys have to move their head and adjust how they're tackling. And in my head, I was like, oh, this is a super easy tackle. It's a drag route. As a linebacker, a drag route is not a hard tackle to make. It's a super easy tackle. When I made this tackle, I was running, and when I made it, I was saying, oh, I think this is a good time for me to actually try to practice on what the NFL is saying, like get my head across and actually get my head out of the way and try to make a form tackle. So, that's the one time in my career I actually thought about how I was going to tackle somebody.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was interesting to me was that in the, during the play, and he said, listen, this was, as textbook of a tackle as you can get. He came across the middle, I lined him up, I hit him, and just, it went wrong. But he also talked about, that was the first time, because right around that time was when they started talking about how, they wanted to teach these guys how to tackle without their head, getting the head out of the way and this and that. And he, was like, that was the first time in my career that I actually thought about the tackle. He's like, it's perfect timing to work on the tackle that they want us to do. And that was the first time that I actually thought about tackling. And that happened. And they always say, don't think about it. Don't think about, for anything. Anything physical, don't think about the repercussions. Don't think about, things like that. That's when you get hurt, is when you think about things. And, I don't want to say that's what happened, but, the one time he thinks about tackling when he's, played, 10, 12, 15 years or whatever it was, between Pop Warner to high school to college to the NFL, the one time you think about how to tackle and that tackle ends your career and had potential of, absolutely changing his life. it already has, but, physically, it's crazy to me. And then on another podcast, Tyreek Hill was on Shannon Sharp's podcast, and he brought up basically why he left the Chiefs.
You really had a great situation. You had a great offense with Andy. Andy was dialing it up. You had weapons around you, so they really couldn't double team you because you had Kelsey, you had McCole. For a couple of times, you had Sammy Watkins, you had Robinson. So you've had guys around you. You had a great offense, and you seem like, dang, man, Tyreek in Kansas City, Mahomes. You have the quarterback. Nothing needs to be said about him.
Right.
When did you think that there's a possibility that, you know what, man, I might not finish my career in Kansas City?
It got like that probably like mid last season. You feel me? Like I'm the type of guy, like I love playing ball and I love, being about the team because football is a team sport, right?
Correct.
And it would be some games where like I get 2 targets, I get 3 targets. And we'll go into meetings and my coach would be like, hey, we got to get you involved. We got to get you involved. And I'm like,
nah, y'all need to get me involved yesterday. Don't tell me about it today.
Exactly. Like, you know how to, the feeling. So I'm calling my agent every week after they say some crazy stuff like that. Like, bro, I got to get out of here.
So let me ask you a question. Because obviously you're not a guy to bite your tongue. And obviously, so did you go to EB? Did you go to Andy? Like, bro, what's up? I mean, during the week of practice, y'all throwing me all these balls. I get into the game and I get 2 targets. What's really going on?
No. I'm not like that. I'm not gonna go to anybody. I'm gonna go to my position coach because I deal with him more than I deal with them.
Right.
You feel me? And I'm gonna go talk to him. Then
but what if he ain't relaying the messages that you would need relayed?
Then I'm out of there. You see where I'm at now? I'm out of there, man. But I love EB. I love Coach Andy Reid. Those guys really helped me get to where I am today. You know what I'm saying? As a young player, I feel like they really developed me and like shaped me to who I am today. So,
did you have a conversation with Mahomes, Patrick? Did you say, "I'm sorry, bro, but I'm out. I need to do this. This is not anything to have to do with you. This is about me and what I think is the best for my career."
So check this out. I talked to Andy and I talked to PM. I talked to both of them, Patrick Mahomes. So I talked to Coach Andy Reid, and I'm like, Coach, like, I don't even need to be the highest paid receiver. I just want to be taken care of, and I want to stay, with Kelsey. I want to stay with Pat. I want to stay with my brother.
So you had that conversation to Andy. Look,
I had that
take
conversation
care of your
with
boy,
Andy.
I'm here.
Just take care of your boy, man. Just make me 25 M's, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Match me with A.J. Brown, and I'm cool with that. He was like, okay. So we get back. They got it to 25 M's, but the guaranteed money wasn't looking right. So me and Drew going back and forth with that. I'm like, Drew, it's fine. Drew's like, no, we can get more. You know how agents are. Like,
of course. And that's what he should do.
So then I talked to Pat. He was like, yeah. He's saying the same thing. Bro, we got to get you back. I'm like, yeah, bro. I want to come back, bro. Like, let's make something happen.
But make the money right.
Like, just make the guaranteed money sound
right.
At least right, bro. Like,
that $100 million and you give me $20 million guaranteed, that don't make sense to me.
Exactly.
Okay.
So then, like, Miami had called. They was like, look, we just going to go all out. We're going to give you $72 million guaranteed. And then I was like, bro, I can't turn that down.
No, you can't do that.
I can't turn
with
that
no
down.
state income tax either.
With no state income tax. I'm basically living in my house for free right now. So I'm like, yeah, we can't turn that down.
Right.
Great weather.
Did you go to Andy and ask them, can they match this? Or were your mind already set? I gave you every opportunity. I didn't really need 30. I didn't really need what I got. But I just needed you to make the guarantee.
So yeah,
money
we did. We actually told Kansas City what Miami offered, and Kansas City was like, nah, we just gonna trade them. So then I was like, okay, bet. Like that really goes to show how valuable I am to them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Opposing to how valuable I could be to Miami. So
correct.
I was like, just sign the deal, let's get it done. And then we just gonna make some shake, man.
Right.
So here I am today.
No hard feelings.
No hard feelings, man. Like, I feel like you can't mix, I can't mix my hard feelings in with the business side of all of that. I still got love for all of them boys, Patrick, Kelsey, Veach, Coach Reed, EB. I still love them. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But just know if we do play them, if we do see them, it's showtime. It's showtime that game.
You try to go for 2-3 bills? What you try to go for? You play. Let's just say for the sake of argument, you play the Chiefs in the playoffs. You try to go for 3?
They better have 2 people on me. That's all I know. The cheetah will be arriving in Kansas City or in Miami. I don't care where I be at.
So let me ask you this. At midseason, they asked NFL execs if they had to vote MVP, Offensive Player of the Year. You got the most votes for Offensive Player of the Year. If you were to get 2,000 yards receiving, forget Offensive Player of the Year. They've been receivers to win that award. Should you be the MVP?
No, I don't think so. Like, for me, I really don't look at awards and just go crazy like that and just be like, I think I deserve this. Like, I've been in this, I've basically accomplished everything that I want to accomplish. I feel like won a Super Bowl, but I can do more. I want to continue winning Super Bowls. The award thing, that's cool and all, but I want to continue to win with my team. You know what I'm saying? I feel like nothing can, outweigh winning another championship.
Right.
MVP is cool. Winning MVP is cool. That's cool for my kids. That's cool for my family. That's cool for, the legacy. That's cool for my legacy.
Yes.
But once I win, but winning a Super Bowl, it just hit differently, man.
Right.
I swear, man. Like,
It's something different when you come into the room. It's like, that's Super Bowl champ Tyreek Hill. Not Pro Bowl Tyreek Hill. That's Super Bowl champ
That's
Tyreek
Super Bowl,
Hill.
like, yeah. they say your name a little bit different.
They do. It does. You're like, okay, check out our look.
So, yeah.
And, I mean, he's made shots at the Chiefs since he's left. And for some odd reason, I don't know why he keeps doing it. Because you know what? Listen, I mean, I don't want to say they put you on the map, but you're a household name because of what you did in Kansas City. You don't get that kind of money without Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. And he just basically was like, there'd be games where I get 2 or 3 targets and, they like after the game they would talk about hey, we got to get you the ball more. And he just got frustrated. And he's like, I told my agent I want out. And it's like, dude, like why are you constantly talking about it? Why do you keep bringing it up? You're gone. You're doing well in Miami. Kansas City's still doing well. And then another wide receiver that, has been talked about a lot, Odell. The Odell sweepstakes we've had this past week. The Bills, the Giants, the Dallas Cowboys. And, it came all the way up to the Dallas Cowboys and, it was time to get the job done. And he wouldn't work out. And then basically the Cowboys were like, we don't even think that he's going to be ready to play this season or like the regular season. And then you have like Odell come out and say like, why do I even have to play in the regular season? I see no point. And to me, I'm just like, there is a point, dude. Like, first of all, you need to know the playbook, which, yeah, you may be able to study it without even doing any of the plays, practicing any of the plays. But there's more to it than just the mental portion of, like, getting the game plan, getting the playbook, getting all of that down. You have to start working with the quarterback that you've never worked with before. You have to work on timing. I mean, it just doesn't, like, you don't just go run out on the field and then just everything happens where, you're like, all right, yeah, it's like I've been playing with this guy all my life. It doesn't work that way. You need to work at it. And when's the best time to work at it? The regular season, my dude. So, I mean, yeah, maybe he would have been able to come back for the playoffs, but that's not the time that I want to start experimenting with a new wide receiver. I don't want Dak to go out there for the first time with Odell and then have, a 3rd and 8, and he's got to run a timing route, and now Dak has to, like, hold the ball just a second longer because he doesn't know when he's going to make that break. It's just, to me, it's like, as much as I would love to have Odell on the Dallas Cowboys and how much I think that he would help this team, I don't want it to be a burden to the offense. And for him to make his Dallas Cowboys debut in the playoffs, to me, that's a burden. So do I think that maybe this kind of played a role in like the way that the Cowboys played against the Texans? You know, you come off of a 33-point fourth quarter against the Colts. Everybody's talking about how good this team is. And then you go against the worst team in the league, and it's like, all right, let's have a 17-point spread, and, you know, they're going to do their thing. They're home, everything. And, it, you know, and then you had the whole Odell sweepstakes. Trayvon and Micah are at the Mavs game with Odell and this and that. It's like there was just too much stuff going on this past week. And now I really hope that the Dallas Cowboys don't like pull back on this Jacksonville game, because Jacksonville's not the team to pull back on. Like, this is a good team. Their record may not show it, but this is a good team. And the Dallas Cowboys cannot take this team slightly. And I think because of this Texans game last week, I think that changes this week for the Dallas Cowboys. At least I hope, because if you roll over against the Jacksonville Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence, I mean, that's it. It can't happen. It can't happen going into Christmas Eve against the Eagles. It just can't happen. Okay. So that's just, you know, what I have to say about that. And then, you know, before we get out of here, let's just talk about Week 15. Week 15, we have spreads here. We have a game tonight. The 49ers at the Seahawks. 49ers are the favorite by 1. So technically it's kind of a pick'em game here. It's crazy because they really have this game a very close game. And you know what? Seattle gives every NFC West team fits, and they're even a good team this year. So, you know, that's a team to watch out for, although they did take a step back last week losing to Carolina. I think they change it here, but 49ers are going to be a tough team. So then we also have we have Saturday games as well. We have 3 Saturday games, which I'm pretty pumped about. We got Thursday, 3 Saturdays, we got Sunday, and then we got Monday as well. Saturday, we got the Colts at the Vikings. Vikings are 5.5 favorites. We have the Ravens at the Browns. The Browns are 3-point favorites. We have that. Oh, so we only have 2 Saturday games? I thought we had 3. Yeah, we got 3. And then we got the Dolphins and the Bills. The Bills are 6-point favorites against the Dolphins. And there's weather, you know, going to be an issue there too. Sunday, we got Dallas Cowboys at the we got the, actually, let's go with the Falcons at the Saints. The Saints are 3-point favorites. Desmond Ridder making his first start. Cowboys at the Jaguars. And the Cowboys are 6-point favorites. The Lions are plus, and this is, I think that line has changed. I think that line is down to 3, if I'm totally honest, or if I'm sure, 100% sure. The Eagles are 7-point favorites. I think they're also 9-point favorites now against the Bears. Chiefs 14-point favorites over the Texans. Steelers are 2.5-point favorites over the Panthers. The Raiders are 2-point favorites over the Patriots. The Broncos are 1-point favorites over the Cardinals. The Bengals are 2.5-point favorites over the Bucks. The Chargers are 2-point favorites over the Titans. The Commanders are 4-point favorites over the Giants in the flexed game to the Sunday night game. The Packers are 9-point favorites over the Rams. So before I get out of here, this is really what I'm getting at here. The public is big, you know, in terms of, you know, betting, because when we're talking about public, that's the reason why the Vegas odds makers make certain type of odds. And we've seen these things, lately. It's playing a big role lately. The Cowboys playing the Vikings. Now we know that game ended up 40-3. But people were so up in arms that the Cowboys were road favorites against one of the better teams in the league. And people were like, why is that? Blah, blah, blah. Da, da. Because they wanted you to pick the Vikings. They wanted you to put your money on the Vikings. And they got that. They got that a lot. And then, hey, Vegas wins because now the Cowboys won 40-3. We had it last week. The Vikings, underdogs against the Lions. Something that is unheard of. They want you to pick the Vikings. The Lions win. AKA Vegas wins. So, odds. All right? The odds total this year for public, the record is 92, 107, and 7. All right? Week 1, 6-10. Week 2, 5-10. Week 3, 6-9. Week 4, 7-7. Week 5, 5-10. Week 6, 4-10. Week 7, 7-7. Week 8, 8-7. Week 9, 6, 5-2. Week 10, 7-7. Week 11, 8, 5-1. Week 12, 8-7. Week 13, 8-7. Week 14, 7-6. Okay, so now the public is on. Public is on the 49ers tonight. The public is on the Vikings. The public is on the Ravens. Public is on the Bills. The public is on the Falcons. Public is on the Eagles. Cowboys, public is 50-50. Lions and Jets, public is on the Lions. Steelers, Panthers, 50-50. And this is what I'm talking about. The public is on the Texans, plus 14 over the Chiefs. Public is on the Raiders. Public's on the Cardinals. Public is on the Titans over the Chargers, by the way, plus 3. The Bengals are the public's pick. And the Giants are the public's pick for Sunday night as well. And the Rams are the public pick over the Packers. Packers are -7. And that -7 is plus 100. So that's huge. That's what they want you to take that plus. They want you to take the -7. So it's there's a lot of stuff that comes involved with betting, and right now it's kind of like you want to fade the public. You want to fade it, but that will do it for today's show. I'm Jerry. Be breezy. Be breezy.
And it is all over! You've been listening to Running Up the Score. We run up the score on Sports Radio.